How does the most feared terrorist group in the world fund its deadly operations? You might think of Al-Qaeda as a simple terrorist organization. But in reality, their financial network operates like a sophisticated criminal syndicate, using tactics eerily similar to those of organized crime. Today, we're uncovering the dark world of Al-Qaeda's financial empire, a global network built on money laundering, drug trafficking, and illicit activities. In this video, we'll take you through the surprising ways Al-Qaeda funds its terrorism, not through donations alone, but with mafia-like methods of money-making that have kept the group operational for decades. Let's begin with one of the most significant and profitable sources of funding, the Afghan heroin trade. Afghanistan has long been the world's largest producer of opium, and when Al-Qaeda was operating in Afghanistan, it wasn't just a haven for jihadist ideology. It became a key node in the global drug trade. The Taliban, with whom Al-Qaeda shared close ties, controlled vast swaths of opium poppy cultivation. But it's not just about growing poppies. Al-Qaeda operated in the shadows of this drug economy, playing an essential role in the smuggling and distribution of heroin. Here's where it gets interesting. Al-Qaeda didn't directly manage the opium fields, but they exploited the network of traffickers, often working alongside organized crime groups. They used their established connections to move large quantities of heroin out of Afghanistan, through the Middle East and into Europe, where it was sold for staggering amounts of money. Al-Qaeda took a cut from each shipment, making it one of their primary sources of revenue. This was mafia-style financing at its core, working in the background, taking a percentage, and leaving no trail that could be traced back easily. Now let's look at how Al-Qaeda has used smuggling networks to further finance their operations. These are not just drug routes, they're channels for everything from illegal weapons to human trafficking, stolen goods, and contraband. Al-Qaeda doesn't shy away from using any means to generate funds. With smuggling operations, they have established connections with criminal syndicates that run these covert operations. Al-Qaeda relied on these networks to move goods that would fund their terrorist activities. Much like a mafia family with its legitimate front businesses, Al-Qaeda worked through a dark web of criminal enterprises. These networks weren't just confined to the Middle East. They stretched globally from the Horn of Africa to Central Asia, enabling them to generate money from illegal shipments. Even more disturbingly, they've used weapons smuggling as a major source of income. Arms trafficked from one conflict zone to another fueled wars and terror activities, all while providing Al-Qaeda with substantial financial returns. This network, too, was built in the same way the mafia operates, through violence, intimidation, and control over the illicit trade. Here's one of the most sinister elements of Al-Qaeda's funding strategy: kidnapping for ransom. This isn't just a criminal act, it's a well-organized money-making venture. Al-Qaeda has made billions by holding hostages for ransom, often targeting Western nationals or high-profile figures. Much like a mafia family would extort local businesses for protection money, Al-Qaeda saw hostage-taking as a form of protection racketeering, but on an international scale. The group's affiliate, AQAP, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, was responsible for some of the most well-known kidnapping incidents. In one instance, a single hostage negotiation resulted in millions being paid to release captured individuals. Between 2011 and 2013, AQAP was reportedly paid over $30 million in ransom payments, all of which went directly into their coffers to fund more violent acts and recruit new operatives. It's a direct parallel to mafia-like extortion tactics, where fear and violence generate cash for further operations. You might be surprised to learn that Al-Qaeda has also relied on charitable organizations to fund their terror network, a tactic eerily similar to how the mafia sometimes hides its dirty money behind legitimate businesses. Al-Qaeda has been known to set up or infiltrate non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and charitable groups as a cover for funneling money to fund operations. The Al-Haramain Foundation, once thought to be a charitable organization, was one such example. On the surface, it looked like a humanitarian effort, but behind the scenes, it was funneling millions of dollars to Al-Qaeda. These charities became money laundering machines, helping move funds across borders undetected. These organizations, which claimed to support refugees, aid victims of war, or provide religious services, were essentially hijacked to fund terrorism. And the mafia-style tactic here? The use of legitimate businesses and non-profits to conceal their illegal operations, all while generating substantial revenue. In the digital age, Al-Qaeda's methods of financing their operations have adapted, and this is where they have truly embraced mafia-like tactics in the modern era. Just like a criminal enterprise uses money laundering through traditional banking channels, Al-Qaeda has shifted toward cryptocurrencies to move funds across borders, avoiding government detection. In 2020, the U.S. government successfully disrupted 3 major cyber-enabled fundraising campaigns. These campaigns relied on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to raise funds from supporters worldwide. Al-Qaeda also takes advantage of online platforms and dark web marketplaces to facilitate transactions that would otherwise be impossible to trace. The beauty of cryptocurrency for groups like Al-Qaeda? It's difficult to trace, and transactions happen anonymously. This digital adaptation allows them to tap into global criminal networks without relying on traditional banks. Just like how mafia organizations adapt to changing times by using new financial systems. Al-Qaeda doesn't work alone. Over the years, they've forged strategic partnerships with drug cartels, arms dealers, and other terrorist groups. By collaborating with these criminal syndicates, Al-Qaeda gains access to larger and more complex smuggling routes, along with greater financial resources. This partnership extends beyond just arms and drugs. In regions like North Africa, where Al-Qaeda is heavily entrenched, they work with other militant groups and criminal syndicates to traffic cocaine, hashish, and even human beings, all to generate more revenue. Much like a mafia family joins forces with other families to strengthen its grip on criminal enterprises, Al-Qaeda uses these relationships to fund its operations and spread its network. So as you can see, Al-Qaeda doesn't rely on donations alone. They operate like a global mafia, using sophisticated criminal networks, money laundering, and mafia-style tactics to fund their operations. Whether it's the Afghan heroin trade, kidnapping for ransom, or digital crime, Al-Qaeda's ability to tap into various sources of revenue has allowed them to persist in their campaign of terror for decades. Their financial operations mirror those of the most dangerous organized crime families in the world, and this makes them even more difficult to combat. The links between terrorism and global criminal syndicates are clearer than ever. And it's not just about ideology. It's about money, power, and control. Thank you for watching Crime by Chapter. If this case left you wanting more, like and subscribe so you never miss a moment.